everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight, I have a special guest with me. I have drummer Jason Bittner of Overkill. Welcome back to the show, Jason.
Hello, thanks for having me back.
So, Jason, back on the chilly East Coast during a little break in between action here. But, Jason, earlier this year you were out at the NAMM conference in California. So did you get a chance to check out some of the innovations and new products in the drumming world?
You know, to be quite honest with you, this year, NAMM for me was more playing and performing than it was actually going to the show, which is kind of like a reversal of what it's normally been in the past. I mean, I'm pretty much a gearhead when it comes to that stuff, and I'm like a kid on Christmas when NAMM is coming around, like the week beforehand, I start getting antsy. So, but this year I had, you know, 2 gigs the first two days I was there, so it was already flying across the country and dealing with the jet lag and going right to a rehearsal that night, and then doing the Dime Bash the night after that, and then doing the Randy Rhoads party the same night, and then playing the following evening. It just by Saturday morning, I felt like it was already Monday, and like I had already been there for the whole weekend. Or actually, like, you know, the second day that I was there, it felt like it was already like the weekend. I'm like, oh my God, this is only like the first day. I said, how am I going to get through this? I'm getting old.
But you did it. You did it.
Yeah, but I was trying to really take it easy at this one and not walk the floor the whole day like I normally would, because I knew we had a South American tour that was coming up immediately after NAMM ended. I mean, I flew home Sunday night and thankfully avoided the snowstorm that was supposed to hit Chicago, where I was connecting. I'm like, I have to get home. And I mean, this is imperative that I get home. I got home Sunday night, and I was right in the car Monday morning for rehearsal, and then Tuesday we were leaving for South America. Damn. So it was kind of like, you know, NAMM was fun, but I was also being on my best behavior and not wanting and taking more time to actually rest at NAMM than I ever had in the past. I found myself going back to my room on Saturday, like 2 hours into being at the show. I'm like, I'm already going back to my hotel to put my feet up.
Well, and so how did that tour go for you then, the South America one?
What's that?
How did the tour go for you? You said you had to go on tour like right after the show?
Yeah, we literally just got back 2 days ago. It was great. It's just anybody who's been to South America on a tour will tell you how those runs basically just beat you down. It's like going to Australia, except without the whack time difference. Thank God. At least you're not dealing with a half a day jet lag as well on top of it. But the thing is, with South America, it's not like touring in the States or Europe where you can do it in a bus. Every day is a fly day. So it's either you're playing and flying on the same day, or you're flying on the one off day you get, but it then turns out to not be an off day because you're in the airport for 8 hours of it, even just to take an hour flight, because you're going internationally each time. So it's very exhausting. And I mean, not to mention it's fun. I mean, it's definitely fun, and the shows were great, and the kids were great, and it was a great time. But it's definitely grueling, and it's exhausting. It makes it almost feels like, you know, like a 2-week fly date tour feels like being on the road a month, like for a regular tour. Like that's how, you know, how beat down it makes you. And as we you know, age gracefully here, it gets harder to recoup from that, but you know, we're doing our best.
You know what? You did a lot of shit already. It's barely, you know, February, and you did all this stuff already. You know, it's just in the first month of the new year, so I don't think age has much to do with it. It was just a lot of shit all over your plate, you know?
Yeah, 8 countries in 11 days.
So that's kind of a lot.
Pretty extensive, yeah.
And, you know, earlier you were saying something how, like, you're a bit of a gearhead. So what are, like, some of the innovations and products available out there to drummers nowadays? And you know, what do you think? It's a good thing to keep adding all these things, or when does it get to a point where it's too much? What are your thoughts on all that rigmarole?
I could open a book on that one, but I'll just keep the short answer. I don't really care much for most things that come out nowadays, just because I find with the exception of Pearl, because not just because they're my drum company, but they always seem to find something that really, really, surprises me each year at NAMM. Same with DW with their hardware as well. But it's just like sometimes I think there's just too much of everything. Like a pedal doesn't need to be redesigned every single month because now there's going to make this micro adjustment for this that you might never use. But we can do it anyways. But sometimes I feel it's too much over engineering on some things. And it's like, hey, it wasn't broke in the 80s. It worked fine then. Why did we change it? A specific example is Tama Hardware. And I don't play their drums anymore, but I was an endorser there for years, and I played their drums for 2 decades prior to that. And that's like when you ask me about my gear, it's like I don't really buy new things. I buy vintage gear. So I'm, constantly looking. I basically spend money buying drums and things I wanted when I was in my early teens but never could afford. And now I can find it for dirt cheap on eBay or Craigslist or something. So it's kind of interesting to find these little gems of a kit here and there. I just built an old Stuart Copeland replica kit. Basically, it's the same thing that he used during the Ghost in the Machine years. But the thing is, their hardware was amazing in the 80s. And then as it, decades went on and I became an endorser and like the stuff was made, then it was starting to be made in China and being made like more cheap than it was. And I'm like, hey, what was wrong with these great stands in the 80s? Why are they getting like crappier? Mm-hmm. But, I understand a lot of it has to do with finances. And if you can get it made cheaper in China than in Japan, then so be it. But it's just, when the level of craftsmanship that someone becomes known for starts to go downhill, then it's time to question, is it really worth saving the money?
That's true. And it's like you said, not just in drum gear, but everything in particular, like we old farts always say, they didn't make them like this in the old days. They made them a lot better in the old days. I guess that goes just the same as with like the drum gear as well.
Well, yeah,
they have of it.
Some amazing things nowadays, but just sometimes I think it's just sometimes a little overbearing. Like, and perfect case in point is walking the booths at NAMM. It's gotten less and less over the years because it's becoming, the music industry isn't what it used to be, and less people are going to NAMM and less booths are there. But when you used to have a lot of these single little inventors with like, oh, check out my cymbal felt. That's the most amazing cymbal felt that you'll ever see. Or check out this bed of snares that's going to sound better than the original bed of snares that came on your drum. Or I'm just using like, these
right
generalization things. Hey, check out this drum key. It's going to be the easiest drum key you ever used. When I see all this stuff, and normally these guys are approaching me, hey, you want to try it out? We'd love for you to try it out. And it's like, I usually go, I really appreciate that, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm never going to use it. I don't care. I don't need a fancy drum key that can tune the drum itself. I just give me a regular drum key so I can do it. I don't want the drum to tune itself. I want to do it.
Well, that's what happens with a lot of these innovations too, though. They get easier and easier for the drummers. Everything sounds better. You could put this on there, make this sound better. It's just like all technology. Do you think too much technology makes drummers lazy, Jason?
I don't know if it makes them lazy. I think it opens up to new opportunities and stuff. I don't know if it necessarily makes them lazy, but I don't know. I just think that there's a different way of doing things nowadays than there were before. And, you either embrace technology as something that can help you, or you use it as a crutch. And hopefully the majority of players will be using it to embrace it as a new technology to help them instead of, something just to make it easier.
So, Jason, a lot of people were first introduced to you through your playing, of course, in Shadows Fall. So tell us a little bit about your time with them, and if they were ever active again, would you consider being part of all that?
Well, the thing is, we are still active. We're just in a hiatus. No one ever said we're just inactive, let's say. We talk to each other all the time. That's not a far-fetched statement. we have two guys that are in two major bands right now, with John being in Anthrax and me being in Overkill. That's the schedules with those two bands alone don't leave much time for any reunions, let's say. However, there's been talk, but we keep saying the time's got to be right. We got to be able to do it and do it properly, and not just half-ass play some shows, because we did that a few years ago, and I'd rather do it the right way.
So Shadows Fall is still a thing, kind of.
Shadows Fall is still a thing. It's just a sleeping, hibernating thing that might never wake up,
but it might.
That's really the long and short of it. It's kind of cool that we have the next upcoming tours coming up. Just to give it the synopsis, Shadows Fall is basically the band that I was in from 2001 to in reality 2013, because that's when we pretty much said we were going on hiatus, which is what we did. Lots of records sold. That's when my career basically became what it was. Through me playing in that band. So that's basically how I got here. So there'll never be any negative things said about that. For any means, I still love those guys. It's just at this point in time, we can't be a band, and that's it. So, John went on to Anthrax. I went on to Overkill. Matt, our rhythm guitar player, plays bass in Active Defiance with, Sean and Chris, who are in Megadeth. So there's three guys who wanted to stay on the road and play music for a living, did that. And the other two guys that have families and a little bit more responsibility than the three of us have their lives at home. And, they're happy with what they have, and I think the same can be said all around. I mean, everybody still would like to do it again someday, but once again, time has got to be right.
And there you go. And the last time I had you on the show, you were in Flotsam and Jetsam, and recently I had Michael Gilbert on the show, and we talked about the sheer power that you brought to the band and how he was a little nervous on trying to replace you, but it all worked out in the end on all fronts, really. So tell us a little bit about your time in Flotsam and what led to your decision to join Overkill almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah, I love Mikey. He's a great dude. I've been really, really lucky in the last 10 years, because I've got to play in three of my favorite bands of all time. That being Anthrax, Flotsam and Jetsam, and Overkill. So that's pretty fucking cool. When I can sit back and kind of take a look at that makes me go, holy shit. That's a pretty good pat on the back there. I'm pretty satisfied with that. That's no diss to Shadows Fall, but I'm saying these are three classic metal bands that I grew up listening to. It's a difference from making it with your own project, with your own band of villains, let's say. And I'm sure John would agree with me, because he knows what it's like to be in a classic metal band just like I do. So it's great. But what happened with Flotsam is when Shadows Fall went on hiatus, Kelly Smith, their original drummer, who I'm very good friends with, called me up and told me that he was leaving the band. And he wanted to know if I wanted to replace him. I asked him why he was leaving, because he knew I was a huge Flotsam fan. I asked him why he was leaving. He said, it's I got a lot of things going on in my life right now, and I just really can't commit to being in the band at this point, and the band doesn't sustain us enough. And I'm like, yeah, I know where that's been there, done that. So I'm like, okay, I get it. So I said absolutely. So I stepped up to the task, and that's where I went for the next 2 years. And, we did, a year touring together. We made the self-titled record, which is still one of my favorite records that I've ever made. But and I don't even know if Mike alluded to any of this, but I mean, we did hit a wall where we felt that there wasn't really much ahead for us as far as touring opportunities. We just weren't getting the opportunities other bands were getting, and et cetera, and still trying to rebuild. And we just came off this 5-week headlining U.S. tour that was such a bust and like 15 grand in debt, and I had to tour manage the whole thing, and I'm getting a headache just thinking about it right now. Because it was a lot of work, but it was whatever, we'll do it for the cause. And I just got to the point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore, and everybody else, there was a few other people who are also at the point where, we either need to be on the road more, or we need to get jobs, or we need to get better jobs or other jobs or additional jobs to whatever is going on. So I kind of just felt at that point early on, like late 2016, early 2017, I had pretty much, and then I knew that we had Wacken on the calendar for August, but that was like it after like a tour in March. And I'm going, how the hell am I going to make 4 months? What am I going to do for that time if we're not on the road? So then the never ending hustle comes. All right, who can I call see if they want to get lessons? So anybody who needs a session done, and then you start going through the Rolodex to find out who you can call to make some money. Mm-hmm. So I just got really, really sick and tired of that roller coaster to the point of like, I'm just can't fucking take this anymore. I'm just going back to work. I've had a great run. This is great. I'm going to leave out. I'm going to do these commitments, and then probably that's it. I head back and do something else. In the moment that's where my head was at, that's when Bobby called me.
Wow.
Yep.
It's a divine intervention.
Pretty much. And it was like, hey, Edie and the guys want to know if you want to join the band. I'm like, yup. Don't want to think about it? Nope. I mean, and that's no diss towards Flotsam, and that was one of the hardest things I had to do was to basically break up with Flotsam to go with my new wife, my New Jersey wives. It was really hard for me to have to make that call, but everybody understood. I mean, right. Look, I'm not, it's not based on monetary things, but Overkill's a better gig. That's it, plain and simple. Okay, there's things there. There's a level that we were at with Shadows Fall that I had worked my ass off to obtain obtain rather, and I had done another 4 years back in the clubs of being in the van again and doing all that stuff. And I'm like, all right, you know what? This was okay redoing it again in my 30s, but in my 40s, going to my 50s, no, this is, I'm done with this shit.
Right.
So literally going to Overkill was a better career move for me. It was a better business move for me. And it unlocked 4 friendships that I already had to. I've known Blitz and Dee Dee since the early 90s. They saw one of my old bands open up for them locally here, and they still remember it. We still talk. So I've known these guys for a long time. I've known Dave almost that long too, but I haven't known Derek that long. Only a few years now. But these guys are like 4 older brothers. I mean, it's like. I was like the thumb missing from the glove, it seems like. It's like never felt any going into this band, it felt like I already belonged. And it's just for me, it was really hard to try to have to leave one of my favorite bands to go to another one, but there was just more about the Overkill gig and just that whole thing that I was more suited for than Flotsam. And that's no diss to those guys at all. And you can ask any one of those guys. I tell them every single day, I can't stop listening to this goddamn new album of yours. It's so good. And plus, I knew most of it anyways because I had the demos before Ken even got in the band.
Right.
So some of these songs that are on their record, I know already because I was playing drum parts to them. So, and even when I first joined Overkill, that was one of the things I said. I asked Dee Dee, I said, well, can I still do the Flotsam album? They're like, oh, no. They're our drummer now. We're like, oh. But then they had a good point, too. They said, well, what would be the point of that? And then they got to replace you anyways. I'm like, yeah, that's true.
So once you got in Overkill then with all those Joyzy boys, how long did it take you to, like, adapt to their style and dynamic? It doesn't really sound like it took you that long, Jason.
No, it really wasn't that much at all. I had to learn a few of the inside jokes. That's about it. You have to understand the New York and the New Jersey line. It's the same damn thing. It's the same personality. It's just maybe a little different twang in the voice or something. But we're cut from the same cloth, and I think that's what Blitz says all the time too. I get their humor. I have the same humor. Some things that they find maybe people might be offended by, I laugh at. So let's just say I fit right in from the first practice.
And really, Jason, shortly after you joined, they were already working on this new album, The Wings of War. So what was it like now writing this album with them, and how did they, what was their reaction to like your style and your input on this album?
Well, I think the thing about this record, what the best part about it was the fact that we had a year of playing together on the road before we even got in the studio to start making that record. I mean, I started playing with the band live in, all right, maybe it wasn't a year. I started, my first shows were in June of 2017. But I had known as far back as February that I was going to be in the band. So my first live shows were June of 2017. So we had a whole 7 months of playing live for Dee Dee to feel out how I interpreted their songs and to know what elements of my style he sees and wants to put into and to interject into Overkill songs. Because this is what he kept saying to me over like the course of our fall U.S. tour going into the Cavalera tour in Europe. So we had already been playing for a while, and he kept saying to me, there's going to be a lot of room for drums on this record. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, I'm noticing all these little things here and there that you do that I'm really liking, that I'm kind of putting in the songs. I'm like, oh, that's cool, too. So whatever it was, and I wasn't like by any means trying to overplay any of the songs that we were playing live at all. I just maybe put a few little things in here and there, but for the most part, just keeping it the way the song goes. But, obviously every drummer has a different feel, regardless if you're playing the same song. Every drummer plays it with a totally complete different feel. So this was 7 months of them getting used to playing with me and how I interpret the songs and how my feel is and how the endings are when I'm behind the drums. And now, now with things that, Blitz tells me I made him a better singer. Derek tells me I don't worry about the counts when you're back there because I know you're going to give me something to let me know where I am. I'm like, yes, well, that's the point of being the timekeeper is to keep the band together. So, yes, I want you to come in on time as well. Yes, no problem, whatever you need.
So what was it like writing this album then, Jason?
So we got the initial demos in January. And Dee Dee would send me 3 or 4 songs at a time and send something over with a rough finger tapped out drum machine thing just to get the idea of where the snare should be, where the beat should be, where he's feeling the beat, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'd get a version with just the guitar and bass tracks alone. So then I can just record my own stuff to it. So I just learned the parts, and then I would just, finagle with things and either, send me an email. Okay, I tried this in this section instead of what you had here because I think this might be better. So there was a lot of A/B and back and forth that way, but it seemed to go very, very easily. And it was one of those things that it wasn't being forced. I wasn't trying to. I was just letting it flow, and I I was to the point of, all right, don't overplay the songs, but just put everything in that you hear in your head, and what's the worst they're going to say? Take it out.
True.
So for the most part, everything that I sent, I just kept getting emails back from Dee Dee. Great stuff. Keep it coming. Okay. Great stuff. Keep it coming. That was great too. All right. There never seemed to be a, oh wait, don't do that there though, or whatever. There'd be some like suggestions or so, or trying to try that part with this. And it was very easygoing and very organic, to use a term that everybody uses, but still. It just didn't seem like there was anything forced, and there was also nobody going, oh, I really want that in there. No, we're going to take it out. There was none of that either. So I felt it was fairly comfortable to get the initial demos together. So after we did all that, and Bobby put some scratch vocals on things, we got together in late April or early May, I think it was. And we did a week of pre-production down at Dee Dee's studio. And we just went in there and we took 3 songs a day and we just picked them apart, tried them at different tempos, tried different feels, tried different, variations of them until we really decided on what we wanted to put down as the final version. So then once we finished those pre-production demos, we had another month to sit on them because we were going to play the Rock Hard Fest. So we had another month to sit on the demos to make sure that's exactly what we wanted to do. And then in June, we started tracking drums.
And I mean, what were you thinking, right? So here you are, you had mentioned earlier that, Overkill's like one of these bands you grew up listening to. So now you're writing a freaking album with them. What was that feeling like for you?
It was awesome, but it was awesome, but it was also my second time doing this now within the 2-year period. So I'm not saying like it wasn't as exciting, but I just did it 2 years ago with Flotsam too. Mm-hmm. So it was like, on that one, it was like, holy shit, I can't believe this is happening. But on this one, it was like, it wasn't like I was thinking, holy shit, I can't believe this is happening. I was like, holy shit, I finally fucking feel like I got what I think I finally feel I earned this.
And okay, so getting back to the album now, Jason, the name of the album, Wings of War, and I read, I think it was like in the info that the label sent over, that you named the album after reviewing the cover art. Is that true?
Yep.
So what can you tell us about the art of that album and coming up for the name of it?
That's a Bobby question because I don't know. All I know is I saw the artwork and then I heard it was going to be called The Wings of War. I'm like, all right, that's cool with me.
All right, that was easy enough. So other than the song,
I have a track record with record titles with W's in it. The War Within. So I like that. I like the Wings of War.
There you go. Now, and another song with W, Welcome to the Garden State, but we'll get to that one a little later. So what are these songs about? I mean, what's the feel of these songs?
What's the feel? Well, you listen to the record.
I know. What was the feel that you wanted people to get?
That's a two-sided question. The feel that I wanted people to get, or the feeling the band wanted people to get.
Let's hear them both.
I really can't give you an honest answer for the band. For me, I wanted to convey that Overkill's a thrash band.
Mm-hmm. and I think it came across very well. And
that's what I think too.
And I wrote that little review, and that's exactly what I thought when I listened to it. I'm like, well, it sounds like Overkill, a little different with you, and they're not really, it's just it's not a different sound. No,
I think that it's just, I think it's a bunch of really good fucking songs, and I think you can tell that I'm playing drums on it, but it's not like I'm trying to like overplay on the songs or do something that doesn't belong there. You know, like I said, everything we did, we nitpicked it over and over again on whether or not, Or is everybody comfortable with that? Yup. Cool. And really, a lot of it came down to when they said that Zeus was going to mix it. I'm like, oh, that's even better because he pretty much did everything Shadows Fall related except for one record. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't. There was never a question of me going, oh man, I wonder if I have a good drum sound. I'm like, nope, I already know the answer to that one. That one is taken care of. Check. Awesome. No worries. Because I knew I wasn't going to be as hands-on with the mix, let's say, as if I would be like on a Shadows Fall record. Right. Which I'm fine with. And I actually kind of like that. I kind of like that role this time of not hearing every single million version of the song. Mm. Like, here it is with the ride cymbal up, just a little bit louder. Oh, my God. It's like you hear it so many times, you start to forget what version you really like in the first place. And then by the time you're done with it, you're like, I don't even want to play these songs now. I've already heard a million freaking times.
Well, I was going to say, too, you know, the band has, 19 albums out now, and throughout the years, they pretty much stayed true to their sound, which keeps the fans loyal, and the band has always been fun with some playful songs. You didn't really change the dynamic at all, you know, I mean, when you listen to it. So Jason, let's...
Yeah, and I add to it in the video.
Oh, can't wait for that. So, Jason, let's talk now about Welcome to the Garden State. You know, and for people that might not know, the Garden State is New Jersey, where the band is based out of. So, Jason, tell us about some of the New Jersey adjectives in the song and how you pay tribute to Bruce Springsteen on the end there. It was great.
There's too many things. There's so many things. Like, if you watch The Sopranos, you're going to pick them all out anyways. Bada Bing's in there, the stripper, the Pizza Land, which you also see in Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Meadowlands is in there. They show Asbury Park. They show Dee Dee's family's bench on the Asbury Park boardwalk. It's literally a geography and history of Jersey in the background of the video. The song's called Garden State, so obviously it's about New Jersey and being from New Jersey. I guess I get to be an honorary New Jerseyan because I'm close enough in New York. And it's just about the state. It's a campy song, and it is what it is. And the video's going to be really, really cool for it, I think.
I can't wait for it.
And I have a feeling that either people are going to like it or they're going to give a shit for it, but I really don't care because I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool, and it is actually the fastest drumming song on the album.
Wow.
As far as, like, it's not an easy drum. It's not a simple drum part. It's 195 double bass and cruising along in every single verse, and it's not. And then they're like, yeah, we're gonna do a video for this song. I'm like, what? Oh, shit. 10 times? How many times did I do this? About 12.
Well, it really is a fun song, and I think a lot of people, again, the loyal fans of Overkill, Overkill's always kind of been kind of a fun band, they don't take themselves too seriously. Of course they do when it comes to their music, so I think that's what a lot of us really enjoy about the band when we see them, and they're just really fun, it doesn't matter how old you get, they're still freaking fun.
You've absolutely hit the nail on the head, but you know what? And the other thing too is that what's the last song that the band always plays? Even if you're gonna give a shit, the last song the band plays is "Fuck You." So there you go. That is it. That is the last thing that this band says to the audience is "Fuck you." How many bands can do that and still have a crowd that comes back?
That's true. That is so true. So Jason, how would you describe the album overall to people when they listen to it? I think we kind of mentioned it a little bit, but
I would say that I think it's a modern Overkill record that implements the classic elements of Overkill combined with the mid-90s groove stuff that they became known for, combined with a little bit of the modern day edge. How about that?
That sounds great. And hey, you guys got some tours coming up. I know you're taking your little break now. So what could you tell us about some of the tours you got coming up this year?
We have the next thing coming up is the Killfest in Europe, which is Overkill, Destruction, Flotsam, and Jetsam. And there's a band from Australia. I know it's members of Forearm, and I can't remember the name. It's Meshayak, something like that. I feel bad because now I don't know their name, but sorry, guys. So that's going to be three weeks over in Europe. And then we come home from that, and then we start on the first leg of the U.S. tour with Death Angel and Active Defiance. And that's April, I think that's like the 18th through May 11th, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think you're going to be playing the East Coast, because I thought I saw a stop in Massachusetts somewhere at the Middle East Room or something.
Yeah, we're at the Paradise.
Oh, the Paradise. It's all right in the same area, so that's cool.
The Paradise since I was going to Berkeley in the 80s.
That's cool. I haven't been there in a long time, but well, that's kind of cool. So yeah, they are coming on the East Coast. And Jason, being a drummer for all these years, how would you say that your drumming has progressed over the years?
Well, I've progressed in various ways. Little things I've learned in technique and skills and things here and there, like ostinato foot patterns and multi-pedal patterns and things like that I really worked hard on, double stroke patterns with my feet. But it's not to say that I don't get better. I think what happens is I find ways to try to change my technique so things can get easier for me as I get older. Mm-hmm. Because, I'm not an extreme metal drummer or anything like that, but going out and playing, 200 to 230 every night for 90 minutes straight, that's when you're 18 years old, you don't think about it. But when you're
older than 18,
when you're 49 going on 50, you're like, all right, how much longer is this shoulder going to stay on my body for? So, it's a lot of just trying to do preventive maintenance off the road, trying to stay in shape as much as I can. And, supplement with that stuff that you like to take as well as I do. High on life stuff.
Yeah, works great.
Plug. Thanks, Ryan. And just try to stay as young inside as I possibly can.
And what advice would you give then to the young drummers just starting in the field?
To actually take some lessons with a real teacher, and at least learn a small knowledge of reading and the rudiments, because it'll just help you as a player.
And Jason, if people want to learn more about yourself and or Overkill, what are some the best sites for them to all go to?
I have the Facebook musician page, Jason Bittner Musician. I have my website is currently down for construction, but it's www.jasonbittner.com. Twitter, Jason Bittner. Instagram, Jason Bittner. And Overkill's website is www.wreckingcrew.com.
There you go. And then there's also a lot of links on their Facebook pages that could bring you to all the different sites and what events you guys got going on. And so there you go. Jason and his band Overkill have a new album, The Wings of War, out on Nuclear Blast Records. You could check them out on tour and check their sites to see where they will be playing near you. And Jason, as always, thank you for coming on the show and taking the time to do this with us here today. And all the best to you and the band.
Well, thank you for having me once again. I appreciate it.